A lot of people are uncomfortable talking about two things, God and money. Most Gen Zers love talking about money. In fact, they want to be extremely wealthy.
17 years old and I make 6 figures a year strictly online, and I'm gonna tell you guys how I do it.
I became a millionaire at 23 years old, and the biggest piece of advice that I could give you guys is that networking is completely overrated.
Get ready with me while I tell y'all how I started real estate at 15.
I became a multimillionaire at 24, and this is exactly how I did it.
The average Gen Z American, that's ages 13 to like 28, they want to make $600,000 annually. According to a Credit Karma survey, nearly half of Gen Zers, they are obsessed with the idea of being rich. That's way higher than the national average, where 27% of Americans have this dream to become millionaires. More than 70% of Gen Zers, they think they will be wealthy one day. They're the most financially optimistic generation, according to a 2022 survey. And I found this article from Magnify Money. The executive editor there says this is about more than youthful ambition. It's about the extremes that we're in, where we see, based on social media and other forms of content, this extreme wealth and extreme poverty, and young people naturally gravitate to the more positive extremes. Magnify Money also writes that this concept of investing that really eluded many of us is so much more accessible today, aka Bitcoin. Gen Z really believes that they can harness the power of the market. So in light of all of that, I posed this question to thought leaders, educators, pastors, the media, parents. If this young generation is so serious about making money, what is the best way to report on the economy with them in mind? What's the best way to educate young people about the perils of entrepreneurship that could lead to more anxiety, which this generation is really weighted down by, before they have like a big breakthrough? What's something that pastors and parents can teach them about the purpose of wealth, about generosity? How can we innovate the conversation around wealth instead of sending mixed messages to our youngest Americans? United Way held a Gen Z activism survey in 2024, and around 50% of respondents said that they participated in activism by way of demonstrations and protests. 60% believed demonstrating, protests, was the right, ethical, moral thing to do. Morality is actually something that's quite high among Gen Zers, even if it doesn't feel like it. I think I was Gen Z in a past life. I think a lot of us were. You know, we grew up watching megastars like, say, Beyonce. I call it the Beyonce effect. We thought we could be that pretty, that rich, that famous, that successful by age 23. The reality is today, a lot of young people can be very, very wealthy, but I had people in my life who taught me the purpose of wealth. Listen to this Deloitte study. In their 2024 survey, nearly all Gen Zers and millennials want purpose-driven work. They're not afraid to turn down work that doesn't align with their values. Having this high sense of purpose, it's key to workplace satisfaction, well-being, mental health. And increasingly, these younger generations are actually turning down assignments and maybe going off and forging their own path in entrepreneurship in order to align with their personal ethics and beliefs. Again, I had people come into my life to teach me values. Where are Gen Zers getting their values? There was actually a verse from the Bible that I was taught, Micah 6:8. What more does your God ask of you but to walk in justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before your God? Justice, love, and humility. These are unifying principles that most Gen Zers actually think are attractive, but yet we're not focusing in the headlines, on social media, on what Gen Zers can do to maintain the success that is inevitable, according to all these surveys. There's this Gen Z wealth boom. Gen Z millionaires are growing. More young people are becoming wealthy through investments and entrepreneurship. In August of 2022, the Gen Z VCs community had 14,000 members. Today, it's nearly doubled to 27,000 young investors. Gen Z entrepreneurs are becoming wealthy through online entertainment, online businesses, crypto, computer-based intelligence agencies, marketing agencies. Young entrepreneurs like Alexander Wang and Pedro Franceschi, they've become billionaires. Wang became a billionaire at age 25 when his firm Scale AI was valued at $7.3 billion. By 2030, Gen Z will contribute more wealth in every region of the world. So I'm giving you a lot of numbers because I want to show you a lot of times you get one survey and all the data is in 20 seconds. But instead of espousing that financial success has to wait till later in life, millionaires today are younger and younger. The Federal Reserve found that the average net worth of American families finally passed $1 million for the first time, growing from 749,000 in 2019. So more millionaires. The number of American families, around 16 million of them, have more than $1 million in wealth. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. So again, I'm giving context because a lot of times wealth is shameful. Wealth has been treated as a bad word in culture, in public. The people who are really, really rich, if you were raised in a very middle-class family and you became rich over time, that's different. But we're seeing astronomical wealth at younger and younger ages quite rapidly. But everybody wants to make sure they're comfortable. Everybody wants to pursue a dream. I mean, it's just part of being human. Get on Shark Tank. We have reality shows. Podcasts talk about wealth. The world is concerned more about money and whether or not there will be enough of it due to inflation, the economy, tariffs. My Uber drivers talk to me about building generational wealth for their family. If there was ever an everyman, it was an Uber driver. We have to stop acting like it's 1995 and everybody's dream is just to have a nice house. Prices are going up. Younger and younger children and teenagers love luxury. It's promoted everywhere. And we are going to be behind if we don't assist this generation in their desire to get wealth and their ability to maintain it. We tell the young people, go for the stars. We tell them that they should have good things. We tell them that they can do everything that their heart desires, that they can do what they dream of. But then we see reports, and I'm not going to name names, that billionaire is a bad word. And that people who are billionaires are out of touch. But then the people who report that look out of touch to this young generation. Meanwhile, you have people who want to know, how do I get from A to B? They get a job coach, they get an agent, they get a therapist. But maybe the bridge between someone's actual dreams and goals and manifesting them and being able to maintain a good mental state and being able to be a good person, which is obviously something we all want, is actually going to come from someone who's more of a spiritual advisor. If you look at the richest people in the world, they have typically sought out spiritual guidance. That can mean a whole lot of things. But to help them to maintain better mental, emotional maturity, better health physically, and actually give them a purpose and significance beyond success, they talk to someone who can speak to their heart and soul. Even teenagers today are getting money, tens of thousands of dollars in their bedroom, dropping out of high school because they are able to tap into a wealth structure afforded to them by the internet. I would encourage all of us to think about innovating the conversations around wealth, around significance, around generosity, and how to actually use some of the universal tenets that faith provides of justice, love, and humility in order to prepare this young generation.